restream thing that I'm doing. I'm still not sure exactly the moment that I go live. Obviously, I'm recording on Zoom right now, but now I'm live. But I'm gonna have to go look back and see exactly when that moment is. I think it's, well, the audience. You know what? The audience doesn't care. So, Alan and everyone, if you guys would check to see if I'm live on those three platforms, that'd be great. I'm pretty sure I'm
People are
live
chatting
on.
on YouTube already. Hi, everybody.
Oh,
Hi.
well, that's good. You guys rock. You guys rock. Scott Jackson, Kim. Hey, who's this dark side of the bridge person? I don't know who that is.
That is me.
All right. Well, if you're new, welcome to the Lovecraft eZine podcast. And if you're not new, welcome to the Lovecraft eZine podcast. We have two guests today, Soren Narnia and JD Buffington. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Good to see you both. JD, we've corresponded, never seen you in person. So good to see you.
It's nice to see you as well. Nice to see everyone here.
Soren, it's been a while, so good to see you too. You've kept busy.
You pretty much were doing the same thing I was doing 6 years ago.
But just more of it.
Yeah, just more of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Am I on Twitch, Alan?
You are on Twitch.
That's the big question. Wow, that's great. I'm trying to reach that younger demographic, so trying to be like all professional and shit. So,
well, I mean, if we're going for the younger demographic, I can grab a can and grip it and rip it. I think that's how they say it. It's one of
I would not know.
I don't know. I just heard Justin McElroy say it. That's what they say on the McElroys.
Oh, wait a minute. What are you doing? I got to spotlight this for a
Oh,
moment.
okay.
What are you
doing?
So
so it's the Angry Orchard Jason Mask thing. They're doing a cross promotion with the new Jason Universe stuff.
Oh.
And this is blood orange hard cider.
Oh, that sounds good.
And it tastes like Orange Crush.
Does it taste like Tang? Does anyone here remember Tang besides me?
Oh, I remember Tang.
Sure.
Yeah. JD, I thought you were like in your 30s or something.
I just turned 46 on Friday.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, we do this every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And thanks to those of you who watch live. If you can't watch live, obviously you can always watch later on either of these three platforms now, apparently. And if you can't watch and you want to listen, then I'll have it on audio pretty soon on Spotify and Apple, and much like that Soren Narnia fella does it on his podcast, So let's do introductions real quick and then move on to talking to these guys. I'm Mike Davis, host of this show. Been doing this a while. Really enjoy it. Let's go with Bridget next.
Hello, I am Bridget, composer, artist, horror fan, final girl around these parts.
Exactly. You and Alan add a lot of class to the podcast.
I thought you were saying Alan's a final girl too.
No, I'm saying he has a lot of class.
Oh, okay.
I can do that.
He can be a final guy,
There we go.
All right. Well, okay, Alan, let's introduce yourself.
Alan Hughes, teacher, artist, and various tasks around the eZine.
Yeah, Alan's doing a lot. Thank you. And Mike DeBronzo, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Mike DeBronzo, artist, architect, when I can get the work and pass.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we have two guests. Often we don't. And what I would like to do instead of boring one of the guests I don't want to talk to one guest, make the other guest wait, and then talk to that guest. What I'd like to do is just sort of go back and forth. You know, some of the questions could be roughly the same, you know, things like influences or favorite types of horror, books, movies, that kind of thing. So if that's cool with you guys, that's what we'll do. But before we do that, for those who don't know who you guys are, Soren, can you start and introduce yourself?
Soren Narnia, I write the Knifepoint Horror podcast. Been doing that for well over a decade off and on now. That's pretty much what I got going on for the last several years.
Yeah. Um, Soren Narnia is it's kind of like your superhero name because it's not your real name.
Oh God, no. I would never come on the show using my real name, Mike. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. I mean, I know your real name, but that's because I also am of the cloth. So
Yes, that's why we get along so well. Yes.
that could be. Those of you who just watched the Superman movie know what the joke that I'm trying to make and miserably failing. So, Guy Gardner, Lois Lane, so you know he's Clark Kent, and Lois is like, "Oh my God, why does he trust everyone?" And Green Lantern's like, "Not everyone, just us, because we are also of the cloth." So, anyway, JD, will you introduce yourself too?
I am JD Buffington. Normal white guy lives in Tulsa White. Yeah, exactly that. Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I write horror. I have been writing horror since I was a teenager. My first novel, In the House of In Between, had some ups and downs, and I finally got my rights back and recently put that out. It came out on September 5th. Uh, and since Matt Carpenter's not here, I thought I would offer a prize, and I've got
Awesome. Awesome.
all of my books, which
Oh my
is
goodness.
Wow.
Wait a
uh
second. Let me spotlight you again there,
yeah,
buddy.
yeah, yeah.
Go ahead and hold those back up, please.
So these are all my books. This is Nothing But the Willows, which is a short story collection. 41, my autobiography. I hope these are
Right.
coming through and not too blown out.
No,
This
I
is
can
a
see them.
novelette, Come Hither No Malice, which is a retelling of the Medusa myth. The Light Across the Street, which is a ghost story.
Great title.
Red Clouds, which is a anxiety as horror. And if anybody else on the show deals with anxiety, you know that it can feel like a monster that dwells inside of you. And even right now, I can tell the audience at home, I'm a little anxious. I'm on this show. I'm shaking. Then I've
Well,
got my
hang on a
novel.
second. Uh, I understand. I do, but
Yeah.
please don't be. We're glad that you're here, and it just pretend like you're talking with friends because you are.
Oh, no,
So,
I know.
okay.
But Red Clouds is all about, it's really about anxiety sort of breaking out from within.
Yeah.
But then also my recent release, but first novel, In the House of In Between. It's a ghost story that's also about like grief and wartime and what it does to a nation and to people that live there. And this house kind of picks up on that in generations. And you see it through 5 different sort of eras, and the people that have inhabited it and experienced it, tried to figure it out, and where do ghosts come from whenever no one has ever died in a house, which is what the Backland house is
Hmm.
a mystery. And then my original, very first collection was called Punch Pants, but I recollected it with some new short stories called in a collection called Fruitless Bodies. And all of these can be yours if you go to jdbuffington.com and use the contact me form. And if it has a subject line, I think it does, just put prize. And here in like a couple weeks, if I get some responses, I will send you these books free of charge.
Oh, I'm
Signed.
sure I'm sure you will. So I'm assuming you're not sending out all the books to one person, but separately. Or am I
No, it was a
assuming?
prize. It's a pack. It's all of them
Oh,
to one
that's
person.
a hell of a prize. Okay, great. Yeah, I was going to ask you that I was looking online and there seem to be two versions of In the House of In Between.
Right.
And you answered my question. So,
Yes. It was published a year or two ago by a publisher that I did my research on, and I asked other authors and people who were at that publisher about it. And then when my book came out, it had a generative AI art cover.
oh,
And
jeez.
I was upset and let them know that I was upset. They eventually admitted that it was Gen AI, but that customers didn't care. And I fought with them for a while. Eventually, I bought my rights back for the royalty that they gave me to buy it, or not the royalty, the advance, uh, and just basically bought my book back. And knowing that this would be like difficult to republish with somebody else since it was already put out that way, I put it out myself on my imprint, Standing 8 Count, and
Yeah.
now it's mine. I know it's appreciated by people, like readers do enjoy the book. It's got good reviews. Clay McLeod Chapman gave me a great blurb that's on the cover. Uh,
Well, that's a real get.
yeah, and Gemma Moore even wrote the foreword. So I'm very proud of that book, and I would like to get it into people's hands.
Well,
So I put it back out.
self-publishing does not have the stigma it used to have. The only issue is when someone self-publishes a book and they don't take the care to do the editing, get an
Right.
artist that can do a good job, non-AI, for example.
Yeah.
And but yeah, a lot of writers started that way these days. I mean, Matthew Bartlett, who's the guy who wrote The Martian, Andrew Weir, or something like that.
I think so.
He he, I believe he self-published The Martian. That's how he got his start, and it's doing it on your own terms, and there's not one path to creative success. You know, there's the path that there's more than one, and there's the one you want to take, and you have more control this way.
Yeah.
So, which is something I wanted to address with Soren, because you did the same, Soren. You started this on your own, and it's been very successful. Do you want to speak to that a little bit, and just what was your start in this? What made you begin Knifepoint Horror back in 2010?
Well, I tell people, and I'm still sticking to the story because it's true. It's kind of laziness. I looked at the submissions procedure for fiction for magazines, publishing houses, and I just got very cold about it. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm writing to you, I'm asking you if I can. That's that, and the responses you get are, even when they're encouraging, they're just kind of depressing. Like, yeah, I don't want to do this. And podcasting came
yeah.
along, and just I was born at the right time. And I looked into that. I thought, boy, this is really cheap to do. Let me take a handful of my stories that I've already written and let's find some readers and just put up as a podcast and see what happens. So if it hadn't been for the podcasting medium, yeah, I'd still be out there just self-publishing, very traditionally self-publishing, definitely.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed that process. It's very, even though mine is very fairly unprofessionally done, but I would still be doing that, I think. Yeah.
The and it's very minimal, very minimalistic. Um, I think about the sometimes when I'm listening to your show, I think about the shark in Jaws, the mechanical shark that they had problems with. Maybe you know this story,
Oh yeah.
and so it doesn't appear until what, halfway through the movie, and the movie is so much better for it, for that minimalism, you could say. And what you're doing with almost all of your stories is you're just sitting there saying, hey, this happened to me. Like this protagonist is a real person, and he's trying to tell people, look, this strange thing happened to me. I don't really understand it. Maybe I understand some of it. I don't know, depending on the story, and going from there. Um, was I don't mean this in a negative way. Was that laziness too on your part, or was that
No,
you
actually,
really
that was
wanted?
because of Jaws also, Mike. 'Cause,
You're
when you're young,
oh, seriously?
you watch
Wow.
Robert Shaw do the USS Indianapolis story in Jaws, that
Yeah.
scene. I mean, something like that, or um, historical documentaries I would see, back in the old days of historical documentaries, they would put someone in front of a camera on a black background
Right.
and just tell us what happened to you. There was a lot of that. Now, I grew up on that. And to me, that just sank in so powerfully. That and watching, stage monologuists when I was younger, like a Spalding Gray type of guy, or Eric Bogosian, or
Yeah.
a lot of, and just to me, one person telling, like, this happened to me with no adornment whatsoever. It still doesn't get any better than that to me. What's the show? Is it called I Survived? This is like one of the last remnants I've noticed, a show where they just have people talking about absolutely god awful true crime things that happened to them directly, or
Mm.
survival stories. And it's about as minimalist as you can get away with these days. But that essence, man, that messed me up. So uh, yeah, thank you, Robert Shaw. Thank you for whoever wrote that scene in Jaws. Thank you, Steven Spielberg. Uh, that is kind of the essence of what I've always wanted to experience and go for.
That makes me think of a scene in The Fog, one of my favorite movies, the original one. If you guys remember, when they're Jamie Lee Curtis and I forget the other actor's name,
Tom
DeBronzo.
Atkins, yeah,
Yeah, Tom
yeah,
Atkins.
telling the story of his father, yeah,
Right. They're
perfect
waiting
example.
for the Coast Guard or whatever, and he starts talking. He goes, there was one thing that happened, you know, when I was a kid, and my father, and man, that is one of the best parts of the movie for me. Even though really, an editor might want to cut it out, but
Yeah,
it's amazing, and it's just him on the boat telling Jamie Lee Curtis this story.
no
So
visuals, no nothing. Yeah, and so it
no.
works in fiction too. It works in prose. That because the audience just
Hmm.
sense that moment of, oh, things are stopping and it's time to, like, lean forward and listen to this story. I love that,
Right.
love it to death. Yeah.
That was something that I actually wanted to say to Soren was I love in Knife Point the sort of Matryoshka storytelling of like it's this nested narrative. Like you're telling this one story and then it dips down into another story. And sometimes it might even dip down into another story within that.
The John Langan method.
Yeah, no, I love John Langan stuff for that too. I tell nested storytelling as well, and I got the influence from Frank Herbert reading Dune, and the his quote that he goes back to a lot is like wheels within wheels, or gears within gears within gears, and it's that's in Jaws whenever they do stop and tell the Indianapolis story. It's horrifying, but it sets up his horrifying scream and death at when that comes. It's like it's
Oh
not.
wait,
Guys, at
that
the end, I never saw the end.
what that
Damn,
happens?
baby.
God damn it, JD.
I watched that for the fifth. It was the 50th anniversary, right?
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Of course.
but no, I watched it for the 50th, and it still works so good.
Yeah.
John
Yeah.
Milius wrote the speech, the guy who
Sorry.
directed Conan.
Yeah,
John
John Miller.
Milius wrote the speech.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
He also wrote Conan and Apocalypse Now.
Yep.
Wait, and speaking of the fog, that's not the only time that happens. Right at the beginning with John Houseman talking to the kids around the campfire.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I do think it's more effective, the Tom Atkins story, but yeah, yeah.
Practically Father Malone's story too. He's reading from the diary.
Yeah, that. Oh God, yeah.
Very
Yeah.
That's
true.
his delivery is really good on that.
You know what another good version of that is? Guys, did you see, I know some of you did, maybe all of you did, that oh God, what you guys know how my memory can blank on things. That movie that's almost kind of like starts off like it's the Twilight Zone, came out about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Um, and it's set in the 50s.
Oh,
Uh,
Oh,
Past the night.
huh?
best. Yeah, that's it. Best.
Act of
Yes.
Night. Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you very much. The Vast of Night. Now, I won't spoil this one in case people out there have not watched it, but you really bloody well should. It is so well done. But there's a scene in there, and it goes on for a while, where those two kids are on the telephone with this gentleman who experienced some things that have to do with what's going on. And I was watching that, and I was thinking of the old show don't tell thing, and I thought just how much of an exception to that rule that will, because just that guy talking on the phone was so creepy, you
Yeah.
know? So well done. So,
And then the old lady telling her story in the dark in her
yeah,
house later in the movie. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, one other thing about that movie, did you guys notice that when they first go into this old lady's house, the shut-in, and they hear her speaking this foreign language? And I know nothing about this, right? This show. I make, as you guys know, I make a 90% of the time I don't watch previews if I think I'm gonna like a movie. So the she's talking in this language and everything, and it's not like, oh, maybe she's speaking German or French or, whatever. It was creepy. It was really, really, it gave me just the creepiest feeling. And I thought, what a damn good writer to not just do that lazily and make up some, you know, Romulan language type thing, but make up a language that actually is chilling to hear, like a Lovecraftian type thing. So anyway, Soren, JD, we get off on tangents on this show,
No,
as you
that's
probably
good.
know. So sorry about that. But yeah, the spoken word, Soren is just it's so powerful. The first story I heard of yours was, oh gosh, it's been 8 or 9 years now, was Staircase. And I was an instant fan after that. So
Yeah, that's pretty much yeah, typical Night Point horror stuff that. Yeah.
yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Uh,
Chasm was my first one, the Lake Call one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like by good old Click by Call. Nasty bit of business. Yeah. Yeah. I think they're all kind of based on really, if you dig deep down, there's some kind of fear in me that's coming out. Usually it's not very autobiographical, these stories, but when it comes to actually what people are afraid of or which just kind of creeps me out,
yeah.
yeah. That stuff, it's all in there. I'm afraid of
Impound.
most things. Yeah.
Impound was another one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
then they
That's
get
that's what I was going to reference. Is I think that was my first
yeah.
one.
You guys all know, my panelists and my guests too, please speak up at any time. I don't want to be the only one talking. Um, there's an interview, I can't remember where, of you, Soren, and wrote, you singled out the 1973 adaptation of The Exorcist as being, and this is your quote, the biggest single influence on me when it comes to horror. And this is what really, it just got me about you. Watching that revealed to me at age 10 when it came on TV one night that if you want a horror story to be truly frightening, you have to make it seem like you believe it all happened, presenting it with total sincerity and rationality, and that's exactly what you do with Knifepoint Horror.
Yeah, I
in my
forget.
mind.
There was an actor, and I forget who the actor was. I'll never forget reading this quote where they said, the key to their acting technique is they said, yeah, you have to understand, if I, as an actor, believe I am that character in that moment, then you, as the audience, have no choice but to believe me. And I said, yeah, you know what? That's really interesting. So it's like an acting technique and also maybe a story technique. Um, yeah, I've always gravitated, I like horror movies that come out and it's like, yeah, we're not doing this as a horror movie. We basically, this is something that really happened. We're not going to tart it up. It's just terrifying what happened to these people. We just want to share it with you so there'll be other people who know the story.
Right,
No, we don't want to entertain you.
right.
Yeah,
I'm
I like
curious.
yeah.
I'm curious, Soren, like how has your writing changed at all over the years, or has it, knowing that you're going to be reading it for the podcast?
Yeah, it's completely different. Like for instance, so I'll take the transcripts of the stories and I'll publish them as books in case people want to just have the raw transcript. But I would really write these very differently if I wasn't doing the voice, right? Because with the voice, I mean, you can get very economical. You can express far more in far fewer words. You can play with silence. I can't resist a good music cue. Um, it's just very different style of writing. And so more and more I've just written for the vocal. It's got to be the vocal part. If I were to take all those stories and redo them, say, okay, this is just for prose, just to be read in a book, I would probably, rewrite between 15 or 20% of all of them because I have to kind of cover myself now. Look, there is no voice, there is no pause, there is no music. So that'd be kind of a fun project, I think, to go back and see if I remember how to do this without this other technique that I went for.
Very cool.
I like your walk and talk scenes. I like whenever there's gravel. There's really something to whenever it sounds like there's people walking. And there was an episode a while just recently, Throat, where the character can call animals to him. And it was a weird vocal flap that he had worked on, and then all of a sudden he could call something else. And I liked it because I can actually make a weird throat noise. And as we discussed in the pre-show, and Soren's glad to see this, I can make the predator death rattle noise.
Oh,
And
All right, I gotta hear it.
I don't do it with my tongue. I use my uvula in the back of my throat. I can actually move it independently. And so how I learned how to do this is like you take your snoring sound, but go forward.
I didn't hear
And
it.
then you didn't hear it?
No, I have
Ah,
to get close to the microphone.
dropped at just the wrong moment.
anything?
It's
No,
like
but it
your
might.
compressor is cutting out.
Oh no.
Yeah, I
The-
think
the biggest
yeah,
sneeze.
it is. It
The biggest
is
Okay.
sneeze in the history of podcasting.
exactly right. I'm gonna get so much hate mail. I'm kidding.
It's cutting me off. Yeah, I can see it doing it.
Yeah,
We can
Tim's
dub it in
chant-
later, right?
Tim's
It can be
chanting
dubbed
in
in.
the
Yeah.
chat. Do it.
oh, I don't work
So-
that hard to dub it in later, Soren. Sorry.
Dang.
Send me the files. I will post
But
it.
you know
something.
what though?
There we go.
Nope. Nothing.
Oh,
Oh
there we
yeah.
Or I can give you a motor noise.
So
But same.
there we go. You know what? You could also
Thanks,
do you could also do it on your phone and email it to me, and I'll
Yeah.
do it as a short on the YouTube channel. How's that
Okay.
sound?
there we go.
I'll get it to you.
Technology.
That was disappointing, son of a bitch.
Technology. No, we'll do a short. We'll do a short. So yeah. What were we talking about?
Can I do my Mickey Rourke impression?
Always.
No, let's not get that far off.
Oh, I see you haven't seen the show lately. Let's see. There was something I was gonna. I can't remember what it was.
Well, you're thinking of that.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed that with the podcast, spectral vision. What's going on with that?
Spectrovision, yeah, they're just they're a production company, and they branched off into podcasting, as we all do in the end. No one is safe. No one is not in podcasting. So they, uh, yeah, so
So
they
true.
got in touch with me and said, look, we can, we can kind of help you out if you want, more time to write your stuff. Maybe we can arrange things. We can put the stuff out for you. Pretty traditional, system. I said, yeah, sure, why not? Sure, why not? Good people. They like their horror over at Spectrovision,
Oh,
and
nice.
I remember them from having a hand in some really interesting horror movies over the years. Like, oh, okay, these people, they like horror. They are of the cloth, no doubt.
Of the cloth.
Yes.
Mike, I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly, but don't you have like anybody can adapt your work? Like they can do a.
Yeah, it's a
I might be
Creative
getting.
Commons thing. Yeah, so yeah, if you wanted to, if as long as you're not trying to rake in $1 billion off it, you can kind of go ahead and, yeah, do your own narration, make short films, graphic novels, anything, placemats for the kiddies, whatever you want. It's like a non-commercial but Creative Commons license from the beginning
Okay.
usually. Yeah.
And that doesn't with your now that you're under their umbrella, that doesn't affect that at all, or does?
No, you're still allowed to. Yep, still same deal. Creative Commons. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, someone wrote to me the other day. They did. Yeah, I did my own narration of one of the stories. I said, yeah, that's great. No one even needs to tell me about it. Just go for it. Yeah.
I want to see what you both think of this. I had Nathan Ballingrad and other people on the show last Sunday, and wasn't aware of Nathan's quote then. I mean, we're friends. I love his work. By the way, his book Crypt of the Moon Spider is only $1.99 on Kindle all month so you can get a cheap read for before book 2 comes out. It's sort of a cross to me, okay? Speaking just for myself, it's sort of cosmic horror meets Ray Bradbury, which I love both of those. But here's a quote that I wasn't aware of until somebody quoted it to me yesterday online. And you both make me think of it too. Horror fiction to me isn't about fear or revulsion. It's about ache. It's about terrible sadness. The world is a brutal, pitiless place, and we're going to lose everything we love and we're going to die. That's the horror. And we're all aware of it. It's the effort we make anyway, the struggle for love or beauty or purpose that I find so sweetly sad. It's beautiful the way a shooting star is beautiful. It stands in bright, brief contrast to the empty gulf. Every story is a horror story at its heart. Oh, yeah.
I can see
Tyler.
that there's stuff that I've watched or read, and I'm like, there's a horror angle to this, even if it wasn't intended.
Yeah. There's a saying, if two people are ever if two people are truly in love, there can never be a happy ending. Meaning that one of them's going to die before the other.
But yeah,
It's going to end, that kind of thing. If you, I suppose if you believe in life after death, then the optimistic person omits a word. If two people are really in love, there can never be an ending. You know, just depends on what your worldview is, I suppose. But
The nice thing about a horror movie, any horror
yeah,
stories, and it's the same, whether you're going off to the theater to watch like Weapons, or if you're going to go see Top Gun or something, where the people you're seeing on the screen or listening to in audio or reading on the page, these people are truly alive. They are experiencing something, especially in horror. This is so vivid. And you kind of lose yourself in their story because these people are like living on the edge. Something really interesting is happening to them. Most
Mhm.
of us get up in the morning and we go off to State Farm where we hate our jobs and there's nothing really vivid going on. But in horror, this is as vivid as people's lives get. And it's so vivid that someone's going to buy it before someone's going to die.
Yeah.
So it's like brushing up against that, like is I think another attraction of horror. So it is kind of very sweet in a way, horror stories that these people are really well, they're living their lives to the fullest until the spider eats their face, at least. And that's nice.
You and I talked about this the last time about, I said, you might disagree, others might disagree, but just for me, uh, uh, knife point horror stories are weird fiction. And to me, weird fiction is this strange thing that I can't explain happened to me. And let me tell you about it. That's all I got. I don't know that I have an explanation for it, you know. And I told Soren about the true story of my wife and I really late one night coming from another town to where we lived from a wedding, and we're driving down this two-lane road. It's not Interstate 35 or anything. It's this two-lane road in Iowa in at 2 in the morning, and all of a sudden, and there's nothing around, nothing. And all of a sudden, from left to right, maybe 30 feet in front of us, very quickly, what looks like a two-dimensional person standing upright, if you can imagine that, like a shadow standing upright, runs across the road and disappears. And we're both like, what the hell? Did you see that? And we both described the same thing. But we have no explanation for it at all. And I remember what you said at the time, which as I view you as a great storyteller, what you said to me right there's a very short, weird fiction story. This happened, can't explain it. You
And it's the
know,
best kind. It's the thing caught for just a moment in the headlight story.
yeah,
Those are you cannot go wrong.
It's
yeah.
like a flat Stanley came to life.
I did not think that, but you're not wrong.
It's
Might be
it's
less
the
scary.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's the whole idea of a three-dimensional person going to the two-dimensional world and speaking, and everyone would just hear it as a voice of God because they're everywhere.
Yeah,
Whereas now the two-dimensional person is in a three-dimensional space and he's probably freaking right the fuck out.
yeah. Did you ever read Flatland?
I need to.
It's an old story, 1884, I think.
Oh, wow.
I think if I remember right, three-dimensional person visiting a two-dimensional world. Of course, they can only see parts of that three-dimensional person
Right.
because they can only see in 2 dimensions.
Right.
Which is a good description of a Lovecraftian monster, I suppose. From a higher plane of existence, or
It would
there's a
probably
lot of
break your
horror there.
brain.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't want to, for both of you, I don't want to, God, Scott on the live chat says nothing good happens in Iowa after midnight. Well, Scott, the corn does grow. But yeah, uh, I don't want to ask the really cliched question of where do you get your ideas, but where do some of these come from? Like the Knife Point Horror, you started with Staircase, and I know that's a while back, but that one or Impound, which I thought was just so creepy. This guy's sitting in this car in the middle of the night, um, and suddenly realizes there's other people there, and what the hell is going on with that? And it's where does this come from, Soren? Um, I mean, you don't
Um,
have to list every story that you've
yeah, I mean,
written
I'd
that
be
you've
interested to see
read, but
if like how much of this is like JD's experience too. It's like
yeah,
the initial seed might be is usually completely random. In a case like Impound, oh, I saw a place like that. This vast field just full of junked cars. Like, so you think, okay, well, that's an interesting image. There's got to be something there, and you just kind of sit and wait.
Sure.
What does that relate to? What is the fear? So usually it's so freaking random that I feel almost usually utterly helpless. Or staircase, someone told me about one night he had a sense that someone came into his house. And I thought he was lying because I thought, you know what? No one in the world reacts the way you say you did, where you took a baseball bat, you went out of the hallway. Like, no, no, no. In real life, and here's what I would do: I would cower like a little boy in that room. Like, yeah, I want to write a story where like you see cowering in real life. So, yeah, but it's usually the initial contact with something, some notion is completely random, comes from reading or some image on the street, something someone mentions, and then it's like, okay, wait, I got a buzz, I got some kind of flutter. There's something there. Let me just sit
Yeah.
for a few weeks and see if it can develop into something using logic and determination and more luck. Uh, yeah, so I feel usually kind of helpless.
Well, before you answer, JD, I just gotta say staircase is just one example of this, but you didn't just write a story about this. It's the creaking up the stairs and the way this guy feels when he hears those creaks. And is it his imagination, or are there real creaks there? That is there somebody really on the stairs? And then later, when there's this woman in his house, there's this image, and this is all audio, obviously, where she does something like this to him as he's like preparing a drink for her, thinking she's just a guest. And I thought, if somebody I didn't know in at night kind of just went like that, I'd be like, shit,
Yeah.
that is creepy as hell.
And for the
And yet,
audio listeners, later he raised his hands and made a ghoulish face.
yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
so because
Yes,
yeah,
you're absolutely right.
there's the initial, inspiration for a story, and then there's the sitting and thinking, okay, how do I turn this into like a primal fear thing? And
Yeah,
then what that is, we all have I think, a deep, dark fear of a moment when we're alone with a stranger and there's a sudden turn and we realize, wait a second, this person is not who I thought they were.
mm,
And there's
right.
something up with them, but you're alone. Case in point. You're alone in the house with them. Like, let's say, okay, that's okay.
That was great timing.
Yeah, so that's step two of the story writing process, which is like, okay, what is the scary part? You just kind of bull your way through trying to find those little details. Yeah.
Well, and there are things that you added, again, just this one example. Okay, I could cite many examples of different Knifepoint horror stories, but there's another example where the protagonist, he looks out of his window into the woods, which are very close to his home. And it's been a few years since I listened to this, so please correct me if I get it wrong. But he looks out and he thinks to himself, it's the middle of the night, and you know how it is looking into the woods in the middle of the night, and he thinks anything could be out there looking back at me at my house right now. And talk about primal fear. And that one really got to me as well. And you didn't have to include it, but
Yeah.
you included it for that feeling, that fear, you know?
Yeah.
Someone,
I'm guessing that other people share my demented fears, and that I think there's a lot of fear of the woods at night. Just the
oh
visual
yeah,
there, just so like, yeah, that's safe to go for.
oh
That's a
yeah,
good example because when I was in the Poconos, we were in my ex-girlfriend's cabin that was up there, and you're in the middle of nowhere, right? And so when it's night, it's blackout and no curtains, and you're used to like that privacy, that little illusion of, you're like, it just creeped me out because
yeah.
you're used to be like somebody's looking in or something's looking in. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It is creepy.
There's this place, there's this small cemetery in Iowa, just out in the middle of nowhere. It's called the 13 Stairs, and supposedly haunted. Um, and a friend and I, who neither one of us believed in that sort of thing, but we thought it'd be really cool to do, went out there in the middle of the night. It's like 1 a.m. and we're checking it out and taking pictures and stuff, and just talking about how creepy it looks, because we like that creepy feeling, like all of us who read horror, right, and listen to horror. And but the thing that really got me was not the 13 stairs, was not the cemetery. It was right on the edge of the woods, and this was long before, this was in, like, geez, 1998 or something. And I looked into those woods, and I had that exact same thought, Soren. Anything could be out there looking at me right now. And I turned around to my friend Britt and I was like, "You ready?" "Yeah, I'm ready too. Let's go."
You feel vulnerable.
Very.
It's like any security you normally would have. You're kind of like not in your environment either. So
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's not, it's a creepy feeling.
So I want to get back to JD now with this same question of, how do these ideas come to you? And I do apologize. It is a cliche, but I'm interested. I know the audience is interested.
Nice. I get them from a lot of places. The Red Clouds Anxiety book actually came from a night terror, and I haven't experienced a night terror in almost 10 years. I had them like late 20s through my mid 30s.
Yeah.
And there was one where within the dream, I was watching a movie, and then the monster that was in the movie was now in the real world in the dream. And that started pressing up against me in the dream, and I couldn't get away from it because of the night terror. I snapped out, but was still dreaming, even though my mind was awake. And it's weird how night terrors will affect different people. But
Yeah.
that one definitely, like, after I got out of it, I started thinking, it's like, what if, our anxieties were a monster? And that's where that story came from.
Oh,
In the
wow.
House of In Between is actually quite a few different, like, real live lived experiences that I've had that could be called supernatural. And I know you'll ask if I believe in the supernatural, and I've had strange experiences. I don't discredit everyone, but personally, it's hard for me to believe. I'm more of an evidence-based person. Science is,
Yeah, same.
what I look to, but I do love ghosts, and it's the story that I write the most. And there is something intriguing to the what's unseen. And I think that's what I end up writing about a lot, is the fears that are right in our periphery.
Right.
And my cosmic horror will get very big because the idea of how big space is actually is a scary topic to me. And
And I
there's an
don't
art.
think most people realize, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's really big." They don't really realize how humongous it really is.
There is a digital art piece called "If the Moon Were the Size of a Pixel" that I point
Yeah.
people to, and
Yeah.
it takes forever to scroll through that thing. And just how vast it is why I don't think aliens have purposefully visited us. Uh, it's just too damn big. Everything's so big out there, and it's so dangerous, and every little aspect of being outside of our planet is a death warrant.
Yeah.
And I do write science fiction and have stories that take place in space, and that's something that's on my mind all the time, is like the radiation that's just constantly out there. This, thing that is going to kill you no matter what, and you can't fight it. Uh, so just
Also,
real life gives me stories.
well, cosmic horror seems to me the most true kind of horror, because there is Cthulhu out there? Well, of course not. He's not. But there are so many stars and planets out there in the universe that are much older than our 4 billion-year-old planet. And if there are intelligent beings, they've had a lot of time to evolve much further than us, and we could look like ants to them, you know?
Right.
We could look like food, whatever. And so yeah. The other thing about it is, I do not want to disparage anyone's beliefs. I want to make that really, really clear. But if you realize just how huge the universe is, it's really hard to imagine a God singling out Earth, going, I cared that you didn't, do this or that. It's just really hard for me to fathom. So
I always thought
so yeah,
the the sheer size of the universe, it's so difficult to get our minds around, especially for me. I've tried, you just on some level you just can't do it. And that's almost, I think, what keeps me safe from getting really depressed about the size of the universe.
yeah.
Because but that tool you mentioned on the internet, that was one of the best uses of the internet I've ever seen. Because if someone forwarded me something like that, where you're sitting there scrolling and it's expressing to you, yeah, you think you understand how meaningless you are, but you
Yeah.
just keep scrolling
Yeah.
across the
I'm
screen, and we'll let you know when the next thing pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love to get in conversations with people about the size of the universe because it's so ridiculous and absurd and mind breaking that I don't even get depressed about it because it's almost just darkly funny how big it is. If it were
well,
half the size, I might get depressed, but it's just
well, you have our galaxy, the Milky Way, which, used to be referred to as island universes. Well, if if you could go at the speed of light, which we can't, not even close, it's 100,000 light years across. So it would take you 100,000 years to get to one end of our galaxy to the other. All right, that's mind-boggling enough. But the next galaxy over, Andromeda, that's 2.5 million light years away. Now, if you really want to freak out, think about all that empty space in between. And that's just the next galaxy, man.
Yeah.
So I'm reading this right now. It's also available in am I showing this on camera well enough? It's also available
Universe, the
the
zoomable
zoomable
universe.
universe. Yeah, and there's another I don't want to waste time looking for it now, but I just found a video on YouTube that's like I think it's like an hour long, that is something like that title, From the Edge of the Universe, something like that, and it's supposed to do roughly the same thing. But this one, right here, um, let's see here. Yeah, if you read even just if you get if you're a Kindle reader and you get the sample, read just like the first page or two of chapter 1. It's called Almost Everything, and it just hooks you right away with the scale of everything. And anyway, if we ever were on topic, I'd say I was getting off topic, but
Can I carry it one further, Mike?
yes, please
Yeah.
do.
On top of that, our universe may be a pocket universe of a larger universe.
Right, we may be in a black hole.
So,
Yeah.
and yet,
All
knowing
that
all
stuff.
this, having
We don't
accepted
know.
all this, I still whine about the things I always still whine about, the price of Cheerios. My football team came up short on a field goal. I still feel completely justified in whining about these things, knowing how insignificant we are. So it's kind of nice. It's nice.
Well,
Doesn't really affect my whining schedule.
you have to
well,
surrender to the infinite.
yeah, and I know all this. At the same time, even we, for lack of a better term, we tiny creatures on this tiny planet, we still have these lives. We're self-aware creatures who feel, and and we have joy, we have pain, we have sorrow, we love, we suffer, and the size of the universe does not diminish that, you know? So,
I think it enriches the experience
yeah,
personally. I think that all of that is out there for us to be fascinated in, whether it be just a book in front of us right now or the vastness of space, all of it's there for anyone to look at and embrace.
yeah. Um, want to ask both of you, and you've answered it a bit, but why are you writing horror as opposed to mysteries? You know, you're not writing Matthew Scudder mysteries. You're not Lawrence Block, for example. You're not writing noir, although weird fiction is a lot of the time real close to noir
You can
in
get there.
my view. Yeah. Um, what is it about horror that fascinates you, and what kind of horror fascinates you two guys the most? Kind or kinds?
I was personally steeped in it. One of my earliest memories is my mother having the brand new paperback release of different seasons in the console between the driver's seat and the passenger seat of her car. And
Yeah.
I picked it up and I was 3 or 4. And it's like, what's this? And she goes, that's a scary book. That would give you nightmares. But I was always
You're like,
fascinated about it. It's like
sold.
she's
Give it to me.
exactly. And it was, but I was a fraidy cat too. Like horror movies and TV and even Michael Jackson's Thriller scared me as a little kid. And
Yeah.
I never wanted to see it. But there was something because both of my parents were horror fans and they did, they watched this stuff and made me watch some of it with them. But then eventually I started getting into it and realized that it was exciting. And and this is the answer to the question, there's a safety in that thrill. You're not being hurt like the people on screen are, and the people who are being hurt on screen aren't being hurt. It's just special effects. It's just storytelling, and it's storytelling to make you think. And or sometimes it's just fun, and that's okay. But the horror that always affected me was the ones that really lingered and made me think about, okay, is there something in the closet or under the bed or on top of the house or out in the woods? Uh,
Yeah.
all of that stuff, it is a safe place to practice those fearful thoughts and sort of steel yourself against them. And
Yeah.
so I write horror to still practice that, but also to, sort of give back what horror has given to me.
I Before you answer, Soren, I remembered what I wanted to say a few minutes ago, especially about your work, um, and JD, something about you. In my Patreon podcasts, one of them, I interviewed Matt Carden, by the way, and he suffered from night terrors. And I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the thing where you can't move um, at night when you wake up.
In
Sleep
night terrors,
paralysis.
it's paralysis, sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis, thank you. He suffered from that quite a lot, and he had a lot to say about it. He's a really smart guy. So it's really, really worth a listen. For anyone out there, I'm not trying to be a used car commercial, but my Patreon's only $5 a month for all these podcasts. The other one is, and I've said this before, but Laird and I were on the phone a couple years ago, Laird Barron and I, and we got to talking about scary things that happened to us as kids. Um, not the traumatic things, but just the weird things. And he had so many of them. I was like, dude, you got to do a Patreon podcast for me and retell these. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And so we did that like a few weeks later, and he's got Soren, you would love them for sure, but and they're all true. But we were talking about possible explanations to these stories, and he's like, Mike, if you think about it, like this story here, if there's a supernatural explanation, it's scary as hell. And if there's a non-supernatural explanation, like some really weird, fucked up person doing this to us, it's even scarier. And it's like, yeah. So I think about that sometimes when I listen to Knifepoint Horror, Soren. So
Well, I'd like to say I'm a three-time survivor of night terrors. Had
Mm,
three different incidents, and yeah, very traditional, mysterious force pressing down on me, trying to scream. Finally, kind of do, but I've never been quite sure how loud I screamed when I
yeah,
finally woke up. But yeah, there's something about the night terrors that really it goes right to the soul. Like, what was that? And I'm a very science-based dude, not a believer in a lot of things, but man, if anything, it turns out has some kind of freaky supernatural, weird, icky behind the dark thing. It's the night terrors, man.
yeah,
I'm so glad it's been probably 5 years since I had the last bout, very randomly. But yeah, I could do without that scene again.
yeah.
That wasn't funny. That didn't inform my writing or anything. It was just freaky.
I've gone through a lot, but not that, and I just can't even imagine how terrifying it must be. So I'm glad
Yeah,
both of you haven't experienced it in a while.
fortunately, when you have it so rarely as I have, 30 seconds after it's over, you start to have that nice post roller coaster feeling like, oh, wasn't that wacky? I cannot imagine someone who goes to sleep at night having experienced this so often that they like, is this going to be the night it happens to me again? You know,
Carden went through
yeah,
that. Yeah,
oh, yeah,
Yeah, there's
that's,
people who have to go on medication for it.
yeah,
yeah.
wow. Yeah, that's not
The
good.
you worry about how loud you screamed. I know I was vocal enough to wake up my wife once because she slapped me. I dreamt
Don't
that
wake
my
me up again.
yeah, I had dreamt that my dad had passed away and I could not wrestle myself out of this dream. And so I tried the screaming and it was like is all I really did, but it woke her up
Yeah.
and she and I was like,
I
I
assume
was
it was to
dreaming,
help
but
you.
yeah, it kind of did actually. It was like
If
the
not,
slap.
I've got a
Yeah.
special number for you to call if you don't feel safe at home, JD. So
Have you ever
so
lucid dreamed? That's kind of the opposite of a.
I have. I had this is dumb as hell, but it was fun. I dreamt that I was Darth Vader and I went flying through with my hands extended out in front of me, just force choking all the Imperial officers in front of me, and it was amazing.
that's
Was,
awesome.
was there cause, JD, or did you just feel like being a bastard?
I just uh, column A,
I
column
boy,
B.
I'm learning how to be a better interviewer right there with that question.
So fun you kept
Are
finding
you
more of
just
them.
a bastard, JD? Is that what it is? That's my new opening for all guests. Sorry, Alan, what?
No, it's so yeah, a lucid dream. Yeah, you had fun at it and you just kept finding more
Yeah.
Imperial officers and
So yeah, it's been a few minutes, but the same question about what kind of horror, and I know you've answered some of it, Soren, but as JD answered, what kind of horror or horrors is the most fascinating to you?
As a kid, I would kind of root around the library down on the lower shelves with these old dusty horror anthologies, 75 great horror stories. And
Sure.
they tend to be collected from, late 19th century, early 20th century. Those were what I got into first. So the commonalities there is it's quiet, it's kind of brooding, it can be a little bit dry. I got into that stuff first thing. So I
Yeah.
think I've always been kind of drawn to those, to that the atmosphere that just naturally happens because of the way the prose was written back then. The settings, there's no cell phones going off in the stories, they're not referencing TV or the Rolling Stones. Something about that gets me off to a really good start with a horror story. So that's always been my thing. And in terms of why I've done it, so I have a weird, I don't know how weird the theory is. I'll always be convinced that something was triggering in me when I was even young, some kind of obsession with my own demise, my own death, which is why I think kind of we lean into horror a lot because we're kind of trying to get up real close to our own death, look at it, and then we
Yeah.
get to retreat. That's the lovely. So it's kind of like a roller coaster thrill. It's like a safe way to confront uh, not only just our end, but possibly violent end, the darkest of all thoughts that we are going to fall. We're going to get, drawn through the thresher. Or in a movie I saw recently, the killer pulled the woman's head back through her own stomach at one point. And we
That
get
seems
to
Wild
unkind
nature.
to me.
it was not nice by any stretch of the imagination, but I
Yeah.
think that's why I kind of watch and maybe still write horror, to have that thrill. But it also has to do with, horror is the most fun thing for me to write, because it involves, you're going for a really visceral effect, and that's fun to do in prose, right? I don't have to deal with so many subtleties of nuance of character. It's nice if those appear, sure. But what it's really about is, ooh, can I take you by the throat just for a minute and just really have you?
Horror
And
and comedy are the two types of fiction that have that in common, polar opposites,
right.
but
And
have
I
that
wonder
in
how much of
common.
it is myself is again the need for attention, maybe when I was young and even today. Am I just really just pleading for attention? Like, well, if you're not going to pay attention to me in the way I want, I'm going to reach out from the page and try to get you and try to shake you. Comedy does that, horror does that. There's got to
Right.
be something of that in me, I'm sure.
Well, we're all human. I think it's in just about all of us to some extent, you know. So, do you guys? I wonder how much do humans in general, how much do we really believe that we're going to die? I mean, intellectually, we know it, but I've known very old people who don't give it a thought. They don't really think it's coming, and it's really coming for them, and it could be coming for me tomorrow. Who knows? But I wonder if it's something that we ever really accept until it happens. I
I
don't know
don't
the
know.
answer.
I mean, I no, yeah, objectively, this mortal coil must be shuffled off. The id, who I am, doesn't feel like it should go away. It doesn't make sense that I should get to exist and then it will stop one day, even though I know that, yeah, it will. The brain won't be there. There won't be anything to house what it is that I am, unless there was some sort of afterlife, or I mean, I'm agnostic at best, and I believe in God the same way that Yoda talks about the Force. It is a it is an essence that exists within all things and has no desire of its own, and it's only living life vicariously through each one of us. And my hope is that I get to join that sort of uh like quantum plane of existence that experiences all things at once, but I don't know that that's going to happen. I have no proof. Nobody
Well,
has any proof of what happens after death.
you know what Carl
Uh,
Sagan said about it, that he would love to believe that after he dies, he would meet again with his loved ones and his
right.
family, but in all of his searching, there is absolutely no evidence that he has found that that is true, even though he would want it to be true. And I do think we have to be careful to not believe in something just because we want it to be
Right.
true. And of
Uh,
course, not all of us are like Sagan. I am, in the sense that truth to me is more important than what I want to believe. But with some people, and I'm not judging, um, they do want to believe things because they are pleasant, and that's good enough for them. So I don't know.
Gives them comfort.
Yeah.
I mean, the lights
Yeah.
are going to go off for all of us one day. So it's just the energy,
Yeah.
you get obsessed about it, but no matter what, it's going to come. So
Yeah.
it's not a huge spoiler, but there is a surprise character in the House of In Between, and that is Harry Houdini, who shows up at the house in the 1920s to bust the medium who's exploring this haunting.
Yeah.
And I read his writings and histories on what he did to bust up these things, how he proved the spiritualist movement was all a fraud and they were just taking advantage of people. And in the wake of World War One, spiritualism had another rise and people were just taking
Of
advantage of
course.
people who were grieving.
Yeah.
And Harry Houdini wanted so much for there to be a medium who could reach the other
Yes.
side and talk to his mom. And there's the famous story of like his mom didn't speak English and the medium said something in English whenever she would have only spoken in Czech. Uh, but he talks a lot about his own faith. He does believe, but he just does not believe there is a connection to the other side at all. And
Yeah.
that's why he went out to bust up those seances, was because he saw it as taking advantage of people. And it wasn't that he was trying to dissuade them of believing in, spirits or that their loved ones were waiting for them, but that these people are frauds.
Yeah. And a lot of these people, they didn't make much money. Don't take their freaking money
Right.
over a lie with something that is a table thumping lie. I have a question from and then I want to ask about in the house of in between. So please don't let me forget. Um, Scott Jackson wants to know, Mike, how do your guests make ends meet, or do they do this full time? So,
I have a day job. I am a printer for a hospital. I work for a larger print company, and they have a contract with a hospital, and I print all their forms. That's my day job, and then I write on the weekends.
cool. That takes a lot of discipline.
It does. It really does. There was a podcast a while back from This Is For me. I wrote it down so that I wouldn't forget to say this. Episode 604 with Wesley Southard. He talked about uh, writing stuff down that he felt like was worth writing. So I do a lot of ruminating, and I try to, whenever I write, get exactly what I want in my head out. I don't do the uh, write trash and then clean it up later. I sort of edit while I write. And so it does take me a long time, and I'm not very prolific, but I like to think that what I write is what I really wanted to write.
You're doing it your way, man. And that's really important. Um, Soren, what about you? I know you don't want to say much about your quote unquote real life, but I know last time we talked, you had a real job. Do you still have a quote unquote real job?
No, I have a nice little in between here where I'm able to just do this just right full time, and that will almost and certainly inevitably end, and then I'll be back in trying to get into a job market, which I'm now, month by month I've left, and we all know how easy it is to pop right back into the job market after long
Oh,
absence. So
yeah.
that's a little bit of a concern. I was interesting, reading JD's blog. I always gravitate to how writers, creators make ends meet, and it's
Yeah.
you're grabbing a job here, you're getting a job there, you have a little bit of luck with this one, and then it ends, then you're once again starting over. So I've had a lot of that, many years of, okay, what's going to be the next thing? That'll
Yeah.
come to me again. It definitely will.
Well, not to be crass, but you've got a movie coming out, you meaning they're taking one of your stories, right, and turning it into a movie. Or
Yeah.
I hope they're giving you a good
Awesome.
paycheck for that.
Yeah, they did cough up for that. Definitely. Nice people that they are. Delightful human beings.
And I'm trying to remember this story, but this is based on one of your stories, right? Not just Knife Point
Right.
in general.
Yeah, it was a story called The Lock Box, which is several years old, but they went with that one. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at an article from Deadline here from a couple months ago. Carla Gugino, am I saying her name right? To star opposite Lou Taylor Pucci in Winthrop is the name of the film.
Yeah, they went with their own title, and actually, I think it's a subtle but kind of profound change. So I'm going to be interested to see like
Yeah.
how that plays out. Yeah, beyond that, I myself, I don't really know what I'm in for. It's going to be, I'm going to just like everyone else, I'm going to be popping open a can of whatever JD had there, the apple cider, and watching on streaming, or who knows, maybe even being in the theater to watch it. Going in pretty cold. Yeah.
Well, you seem like a pretty no drama guy, not as in not wanting to be as involved as maybe some writers would want to be. I'm just guessing, but
Yeah, well, I think it's fun that to be kind of hands off and say, okay, well, I wrote my version of the story.
right.
Let someone else just roll the dice and do whatever, do whatever they want. That'll be entertaining, more entertaining for me, frankly. And
Yeah, that's a good point.
frankly, what other people are more likely to inject so than me is a sense of maybe fun in stories. If I get involved with something, the fun, the entertainment factor can kind of bleed away and turn, and it gets replaced by sort of darkness and sometimes even very downbeat things. Where other people are more likely to say, look, we want people to enjoy this as a horror movie.
Yeah.
That's kind of my understanding of what they're going to be going for. So I'm all
Well,
in
and
them rolling the dice however they want to do it.
well, and also, first of all, that's a very healthy attitude. But you know what Stephen King said? I read this years and years ago, if not decades, that somebody told him he was, I think he was depressed about the way one of the movies turned out, real crappy. As we know, there have been some pretty horrible Stephen King movies through no fault of his own. And the guy said to King, he said, "Hey, man, they can't change one word that you wrote in the book." And he really took comfort from that. So
Sure.
if it turns
And
out great, that's
even those
great.
even some of those Stephen King adaptations, and the same is true for any movie adaptations. Some of them, I personally find like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. But you will find plenty of people who just adore these things, that
Yeah.
really makes them. Um, so it's really just going to be a different kind of story for probably a slightly different kind of audience. And I say, more power to him, giving it a shot.
Well, I feel that you deserve the success. I'm glad for you, and if it helps keep you from a quote unquote real job for a longer period of time, that's nothing but good. And maybe you'll if it's a success financially, I can't help but think that they'll be after you for another one. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah,
hopefully,
sure. Absolutely.
from my word, from my lips to God's ears, right?
Yeah, yeah. Make them all. Go ahead. Just keep cranking them out. One
Yeah.
every 3 days. I'm there for it. I'll be watching.
Um, yeah. Let's see, what else was I going to ask you guys? JD, I didn't cut you off on anything, did I?
You started to say something about In the House of In Between and then asked Soren.
That's what it was. What I have not asked you so far is to explain to the audience what this book is about so that they can pick it up
It
and read
is
it.
a classic haunted house novel. That's the basic premise. But what differentiates it, what I wanted to set out and do is, where do ghosts come from? How would a ghost actually interact with our physical plane? And I started thinking about, what if time itself was a part of particle physics, like it is among the dark matter or dark energy that we haven't discovered within the universe or whatever. And we find a way to actually track what I call chronotons. And this guy, Noah Benjamin, wants to go to this super famous haunted house on Lake Superior in Minnesota, in a town called Grand Marais, uh, and solve this unsolved mystery. The house has been haunted and no one has ever died there. So what's haunting the house? It's like slamming doors and blood runs down the walls and no one knows why. So he's going to take his computer that can track chronotons and spin it backwards and see where the ghosts come from. That's one era. But you also get to see Phoebe Backlund, who built the house, and it was haunted from the day she was handed the keys. And she kind of went through a bad period and went a little mad and became a madam of a spiritualist house and held seances, and then started to learn more
As
about
you
the
do.
house herself. And but there's also a story set in 69 through like 74. That's probably the longest expanse of any of the eras. Um, It's about a couple that lives in the house and are tormented by it, both the wife and husband, especially while he's away to Vietnam. The one with the Madam Phoebe Backlund, that's right after World War One. Then there's a time where it's a bed and breakfast, and I tell a lot of different people's experiences, guests who go to the bed and breakfast, sort of like short story breaks in the book, of their experiences in the house. And that's uh, there's sort of like late 80s, early 90s kind of Iraq War era, then a early 2000s Afghanistan era, and then the future era is plagued by something happening in the Pacific that I don't really get into to keep it vague. But all of them are experiencing this house and trying to figure it out. And the answers will come. That's why you need to read the book.
That's it. That's fascinating. And I want to read first of all, I love the cover, the new
Thank you.
cover, by the way. The quote from Clay, and that is on the cover of the book too, guys. Whether you're a skeptic or a true believer in the supernatural, one thing is undeniable, and that is J.D. Buffington's supernatural ability to tap into that chilled sense of dread that exists between the written word and the reader's imagination. We're all call in the house. Let me read this right. We're all call in the house of in between once we're finished with it. So, yeah. Forward by Gemma Amore, as you said.
Yes. It was
Also,
pretty amazing to reach out to Clay and have him accept, my request. And then to get that blurb from him was amazing.
he's a nice guy and a very talented writer.
Yep.
Hey, JD, I have a question actually, JD. Like,
Yeah.
I am a sucker for just cool ass titles of things. Like I get so excited when, I see a title that, even when it, sometimes you can think of a title that skates up to even pretentious levels, but it's so great. It's such an awesome title to think of and say that doesn't matter. Like just like a line of dialogue in a book. It's like, okay, I can sort of see almost the artifice in that line, but it's so great, it just rises above it. So I was looking at, the titles of all your books. So I know you are a
A
fellow like
wordy
me.
titleist.
Well, you just love to think about the title that you've probably tested out so many of these. So I'm wondering, like, are is that you? Do you really like think, okay, oh, and what are you shooting for? Do you try to really get super thematic with your titles and stick with that? Or do you like to say, you know what, I want to shoot for the moon here and come up with something that just lingers in your brain and you don't even know why? Uh,
I think I've heard other people talk about this. I'm one of those that I think of a title often first and will build up a story around it. In the House of In Between was one of those. Like, I had a story that's actually referenced in the House of In Between called Violent Echo, that was about a guy seeing his own ghost, like he experiences his own haunting event. And so I spun up that idea and made it like a part of In the House of In Between, but the sort of nesting idea, or like seedling, that really made it take off was the Madam. And I wanted to have these two eras connected by a haunting and how they interacted with each other. And uh, then with something longer like Nothing But the Willows, that was another title that came first. And I was just thinking, like, Nothing But the Willows. And my daughter said something about me singing to her if I was a ghost. And that reminded me of the movie Ghost. And a story just came up underneath the title. Uh, while I was writing In the House of In Between, I did have a line of dialogue like you were talking about, called where I had somebody say, even if as ghosts. And that became a title of a short story. So I often will just come up with a title and write something underneath it. there's the big project that I'm working on now is called The Flower Girl. That will probably be the novel's ultimate title, but there are sections within that have their own specific titles, like Dear Miss Butler and The Orthopedist. And I'm writing these things in sections, but any one of those could end up becoming the title.
Yeah, it just seems like the titles of your books are this little free gift to the reader. Like, you know what? Even before you dig in, you're gonna want to know, like, oh, what does that title mean? That is so cool. It's got to mean
Yeah.
something. And I got to find out where's the line in the book. What is it? I really dig that.
Medusa, I still call it Medusa because it was originally just going to be Medusa. But Come Hither No Malice came with writing. And that was like my version of Medusa doesn't just instantly turn you to stone. She turns people to stone who mean her harm. And so this title of Come Hither No Malice is like, come here if you mean me no harm. And she develops an encampment for the beaten and the downtrodden and the outcast, just sort of like she was. And that stuck as a title. Whenever I thought of that as a concept, I was just like, that's rad, and I think it's going to be a rad title, and I hope other people think it is too. And I'm glad you do, Soren.
Oh,
Well, that brings us to Pudge Pants.
Punch Pants.
Oh, what's it
Punch.
called?
It's Punch. Punch
I think
Pants.
Soren
Oh.
liked Pudge Pants
Oh, because
better.
that's much better.
Yeah. Punch Pants is those are my two favorite English words. They just they have a sound. I like those two words, and so I called my very first collection my favorite words.
This all makes me think, Soren, of a friend of mine, Emma J. Gibbon. Her collection is titled Dark Blood Comes from the Feet. And I was just like, I've told her this at least, if I've told her once, I've told her 5 times. That is a title, you see it on the shelf, virtual shelf or literal shelf, and you have to pick it up and buy it and read it.
Like those old Italian giallo movies, that
Yeah.
I don't really like the genre that much, but some of the titles, Black 12 Flies on Black Velvet or something like that, or Your Vice is a Locked Room and I Have the Key. Just these wackadoodle titles that it's just right off the bat, it's 10% better than whatever it is. Love it.
Exactly. Yeah. And by the way, Dark Blood Comes from the Feet is a damn good collection. So for anyone interested. Oh, question about In the House of In Between, JD. If I look it up on Amazon, I see the older version and it's out of print. You can't get it. However, if you look at the show notes, everybody, I did link to it at bookshop.org, like you asked me to, JD.
Yeah.
Can people get it on Amazon? Can they get the
ebook
ebook and so forth? How's this working right now?
How that works, because there is still stock of the hardcover in the European shop, the other edition is going to show up forever. And there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing the publisher can do about it. I've asked them about it. It does. But yeah, you want to find the black cover with the red door.
And you raise money for a local bookstore buying it this way, folks.
At Bookshop, yes. But to answer your question about Amazon, I publish now through Ingram. I really made a big investment in Standing 8 Count and bought ISBNs and set up my Ingram account and did all the discounts so that you can order it any bookstore that you want to. But when it comes to Amazon, it usually doesn't hit on street date, and the ebook shows up eventually. I don't know why they do it that way, but that's how it's been with my last couple of releases as well. It will populate. It is available. The ebook is on bookshop.org and other bookstores as well that do ebooks.
Well, I want to be clear. First of all, people in the side chat, and I'm sure watching this later, will say, someone said, I'm sold when you started talking about the plot of the book. I do have the links immediately in the show notes. Just click on that link. You can buy the book right there, and it's reasonably priced. So don't let this deter you by any means. I just wanted to explain it for those that'll click on it and go, what the hey, because some people are just so used to Amazon.
Yeah.
Understandably so. I also linked to Knifepoint Horror, of course, if you guys saw the show notes. And oh, speaking on my behalf, I linked to the Patreon. If you're not a Patreon and you want to keep the show going, if I had everyone who was a follower of the show just at that bottom tier of $5 a month, speaking of not having to worry about money, as Soren was talking about, I wouldn't probably ever have to worry about it again. The many hands making light work thing, and you really do get a hell of a lot for that. I'm serious. Let's see here. And then if you don't know about it, I've got the link under all of this to the email alert list. You can be reminded when episodes are coming up. And it's not a high traffic list. You're going to get 2 or 3 emails a week at most. You can unsubscribe anytime. It's legit. It's a MailChimp list. So all you got to do is click the unsubscribe button. And then the eZine calendar, which I've linked to, is eZine Google Calendar will tell you what guests are coming up for the next several months, as far as I've got them booked. So, for example, next week is Joe Lansdale. So, and then the week after that is actually, let me punch it up. Helps my memory too. Yeah, next week is Joe Lansdale. The week after that is nothing, because it's my wife and I's anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. 29 years. And the week after that, Michael Wehunt, then Nadia Bolkin. And basically, you see my point. You can look at this calendar and, see, whoever's coming up. I was going to say, Peter Kleins is going to be on the 9th of November, too, for you Peter Kleins fans. And Josh Roundtree. Anyway, but it's very handy. If you're a fan of the show, you can see who's coming up. So that's how Soren, this will make you feel good. JD emails me the other day and he goes, what? I just looked at the calendar. Am I going to be on with Soren Narnia? I love Knifepoint Horror. And I was like, yeah, yep. Forgot to tell you. Sorry.
Delightful.
Yeah, I was excited.
So
Yeah, well, I'm glad to meet you. It's amazing because I know so many, like, become aware of so many names out there, and I'm so slow in getting to read them. Like, I remember when Mike years ago, he mentioned Laird Barron to me. He said, "You got to read Laird Barron." And, how long did it take me to actually finally read and really enjoy the Laird Barron book? And it's just, I'm like one of the worst citizens of the world of horror because it just all flows over me, and like, okay, well, now getting on live with you that's a really good thing. Like, now I really, I'm cruising through your work, and I'm getting a definite sense that of the whole JD experience now, especially with the Salem's Lot shirt and the vocal thing.
It's not even a Salem's Lot shirt.
Zach.
That's what's funny. It is the Cracker Barrel redesign.
Oh, well, that's
I
not
love it.
bad. It's not bad. All right.
Oh, I love it. A couple of things I also wanted to mention too, guys. If you don't mind, I'll make this quick. A Patreon of mine and a damn talented author, Jeremiah Dillon Cook, has a new book out as well. It's out in print. It'll be out in ebook in a couple of weeks. And it's called A Mythos of Monsters and Madness.
Good title.
Yeah, it's on his website. Let me just post in the side chat real quick. Monty, please don't step on my computer. It might mess things up at this point. My cat. And he's a good guy. He's a very talented writer, and I'll probably get him on the show. But I just it may be a while. I'm booked.
It's hard to put
2 or 3
headphones on a cat.
He refuses,
Another
man.
great
And now
title,
he's
Waiting
trying.
to
Now he's trying to drink my water. God. Yeah. Sorry. Did you say something,
We're
Alan?
just gonna try.
Yeah. 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 Also, listen, if you are reaching retirement age, you might want to check out Fairview Acres. And this is
Howdy.
this is a don't step on my computer. I'm going to be done in 5 minutes and then I'll pay attention to you. I promise. Fairview Acres. Todd Kiesling sent me this
Oh, no.
nice brochure of Fairview Acres. A word from our chairman, Arthur Peterson. And no, this is not real. It's from his book, The Sundowners Club, which is a cosmic horror novel set in a retirement community. And so I had him on the show a few weeks ago, months ago. I don't remember very recently. He's like, yeah, and we did these. And I was like, well, I want one. So I just said it. I didn't really think he was listening or anything. Well, I don't mean it that way, but yeah, I just said it in passing is what I'm trying to say. And a couple days later, he's like, what's your postal address? And then a week or two after that, I got this in the mail. So
That's
yeah.
great. I
That's
just
awesome.
started listening to that on Audible. I think it was week before last, and I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah. Very relatable protagonist who has a lot of anxiety. He's not, he's an elderly guy who's just lost his wife, and he's very anxious and he's very lost without her. And he decides to do exactly the wrong thing and join a retirement community that's a cosmic horror cult of some kind. I don't think that's really a spoiler at this point. So
Sounds fun.
Just a tip:
Yeah.
don't leave the retirement home brochures waiting around the house. You know,
oh
wife
no,
might get-
I'm gonna make copies and leave them around the town, Alan.
It'd be nice if there were like a fake website for it to go along with it to see if people see if they can actually lure people in
Oh, the
for
old
serious
viral
inquiries.
marketing.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, Bridget, Alan, any questions that you guys didn't get to that you want to ask before we close up shop here?
just a minutia of one for JD.
Sure.
Police Chief Mignola is that a coincidence, or this house really felt like it could have been in a Hellboy story?
No, it is not a coincidence. I have it's not really visible in the darkness here, but give me just 1 second. I'll mute my mic.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I would, while he's doing that, if anybody knows Mignola, I would love to get him on the show.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know if he'd be amenable to it, but I'd love to get him on. So, he's written so much, but also
All right, here we go.
his
So,
Batman Cosmic
yes.
Horror is so awesome.
This guy.
Oh yeah.
So this was sitting on my shelf. It was a birthday present from my brother who works at Dark Horse Comics. And I do like Hellboy. I saw that Crooked Man and actually really liked that. If you all haven't seen that one, it's like a very good folk horror movie that has Hellboy in it. But yeah.
Oh, I've been meaning to watch that. Yeah.
No, he's definitely named after that.
Okay. Just
We should all be
Okay.
grateful that we're living in the golden age of horror movie figurines. Like,
Oh yeah.
not only can you get Jack Nicholson from The Shining, you can get Mr. Ullman. I mean, that is terrific. I love it.
My buddy Kelly Young sent me the chief ghost, the head ghost guy from The Fog, a figurine.
Yeah.
It's so yes, we have a lot to be grateful for. We're living in the future, Soren.
Oh yeah.
Let's see what else. Bridget, did you have anything else?
I didn't have a question. I just wanted to say that I've been listening to Knifepoint Horror for a long time, and it's just really cool to associate the face with the voice.
Yeah, it's
I see as
it can
well.
be a little bit jarring, I know, but yeah.
But now it's gonna take on like a whole nother level to hear you read these creepy experiences. So I'd be like, oh no, what happened to Soren?
Yeah, now I can see
Okay.
you in the tweed jacket talking to the college students about a submarine.
Oh yeah, I always wanted to put on the tweed jacket and talk to college students. That is actually one of my dreams. I'd like to be like a like kind of like an off-brand creative writing teacher at a community college for like one semester, and then like they just don't renew my contract because I'm just kind of like weird. I think that would be a great. I think I would enjoy the hell out of that life.
So you want to be John Langan, basically.
Sure, sure, I'll take it.
Although they
Who
did renew,
doesn't?
they do renew him. Yeah. Is there anything that Soren or JD that you guys would like to say, or something that maybe I should have asked and didn't, that you'd like to get out there to the public or promote whatever you're doing next, or just anything you want to say at all? Or did we
There's a
cover it?
question that you will pose to new authors that you've had on that I was waiting for, of like, what do you define success as? And I wanted to say this,
Okay.
discussion and being, a part of a community. That's my success. Being here is success for the book, for my career. So thank you so much.
Here?
Here with you
Oh my-
guys.
Oh my gosh. You just made my day, man. Thank you. Yeah.
You've made mine.
Yeah, I don't always remember to ask it, and sometimes when I get down to the wire of it's almost 2 hours, I'll skip it. So
Well, no, I fortunately had a quick answer for you.
Yeah,
Well,
Mike was was the first people ever to write to me and say, "Hey, would you like to come and talk about stuff on my thing?" I mean, one of the first, and has never wavered in his good support, which is pretty freaking amazing.
oh, well, thank you, guys.
Personally, I'm not a
Really.
fan.
Yeah, Mike.
There's
Yeah,
some personality
I,
things. I'm not.
I get that, yes, but yeah, I'm promoting you, so you have to pretend to like me. I get it.
Yeah, you know how
So,
it goes. You know how it goes. I would just like to
well,
take this opportunity to publicly commit, because it is on YouTube. This is an official record. Once again,
yes.
I'm going to be a better reader of horror in the upcoming year. I'm going to make that commitment to actually read more books, horror. I've been so terrible. So it's on video now. It's in a digital file. It is legally binding.
Well, don't feel
Mhm.
too bad about it. I've only read like 4 books this year, and I used to devour them. I used to be able to read 26, 35 books in a year or whatever, what the challenges are these days. But now it's like I finish one and I digest it, and then I write some short stories, and then I go into another book. So I wouldn't
Well,
feel too bad about it.
I'll tell you, no matter how much you read, and I read a lot for pleasure, for this show. Um, I love to read a lot of, stuff like this, astronomy. Um, but no matter how much you read, that TBR never seems to get smaller. You know what I mean? That
It's
to
kind
be
of nice.
read
It
pile.
makes it aspirational. You look over at your to be
Yeah.
read pile. It's a nice cozy feeling. Of course, seeing Dracula there on Bridget's shelf, what's going to wind up happening is I'll just probably read that again.
Well,
And then I'll just
if you
Google a
want to
list of
read,
books and claim I read them.
if you want to read Dracula, you should pick up this volume
Oh, wow.
too, by our friend Leslie Klinger, who is a hell of an annotator, and
Oh,
he's annotated Dracula. He's annotated. This is the soft cover,
that's
but
amazing, because as a kid, I was given a big hardcover book by my father called The Annotated Dracula.
really,
Wow.
And that was my
oh,
first experience with like this annotated concept, and I just ate that sucker up. It was
he. I'll just say this: he's the best annotator I've come across, really.
Yeah, it's a
And
skill, it's an art.
it
Yeah.
is. If you go back on, this is not even on the Patreon, just this regular show. But if you go back a few months, or just search for his name on my YouTube channel, we interviewed him. I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, something like that. We talked about this. He's annotated Lovecraft. He's annotated. I'm slowly building up my Leslie collection. He's annotated Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He's annotated Frankenstein. I've got I love them all so much. I've got them sitting right here. Sherlock Holmes, if you're a Sherlock Holmes fan, and the list goes on and on. He even annotated Watchmen. So
Wow.
Can I pay for a vanity annotation of the book I
I
write? I think that'd be great. I don't want that'd be great. Like, oh, what part would they annotate?
I
That's
don't
how
know, maybe
shallow I
so.
am.
I don't know. But yeah, and the other thing is, Soren, like you said, I mentioned Laird some years back. That's the faux complaint I get from this show, is that for people who listen every week, they've always got books that they need to pick up at that point. So there you go. One last thing I wanted to say that I forgot to say like an hour ago when we were talking about, especially in Knifepoint Horror, your quote about making it seem absolutely real, and you were talking about movies that are like that too that you really enjoy. Lake Mungo is like my number one with that.
Seen it a few times. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
amazing.
So they're about to do they're about to come out with Lake Mungo Revisited.
Big mistake, but I'll watch it anyway.
No, it's not a it's not a sequel or anything like that. It's a documentary, I guess you'd say, about it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the
So
most fun I think I had last year was watching there was the documentary in multiple parts about the making of every single Friday the 13th movie.
Oh, wow.
oh
I
really?
just ate that. That was such fun to watch. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'll watch the Lake Mungo one. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul and Nadia Bolkin and Paul Tremblay and Nadia Bolkin and I are really huge fans of it. And the funny thing is, so uh, I I emailed Paul a couple weeks ago. I said, hey, did you see this? This is coming out. And he's like, yep, I'm one of the talking heads. And I was like, oh, that's so great, man. So Scott says, I have never listened to an audiobook. Okay, man, start with Knifepoint Horror. Start with Staircase and work your way forward in time. So on the side chat here. Listen, Soren, JD, guys, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Sure. Yeah, love it.
And Alan and Bridget, as always, thank you for helping me out. So
Nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you as
and,
well.
yeah, and it's nice to meet your cat directly behind you, Bridget.
Yeah, he's decided to take an entire bath. Sorry about that.
That's what they do. They groom.
Yes.
They eat and they groom, and then they annoy you. And then when you want to give them attention, they don't want
They run
attention.
away.
They're like,
Yeah,
no.
and when you don't want to give them attention, they're in your face. So anyway, thank you so much, guys. I'm sure I'll talk to you guys sometime in the near future, and I'll let you know when the audio edition of this comes out. And last but not least, thank you to all my patrons. There's no way, you're the single reason why I can do this. So thank you very much. And we'll see everybody next time. Thanks.